So, when I started homeschooling, like back in 2003, I was absolutely obsessed about hearing from other homeschoolers. I had found books on homeschool success stories and compilations of all grown up homeschoolers and what they were doing. These days, there seems to be a dearth of that information. It's like hard to compile and hard to find. For that reason, one of the things we've done on my business channel at Cheese Press Publishing is we have Holly and Jordan, who are adults who are homeschooled, talking about their homeschool journey, and we plan to do more of that in the future. In the meanwhile, here on my vlog channel, I decided I was going to start a series on homeschool success stories. And I'm going to start with the one that some of you may argue that maybe she is or maybe she isn't a homeschool success story. But I think she is. And so we're going to talk about Willow Smith, the daughter of Will and Jada Smith. And I'm going to talk about her as separately from her brother Jaden as humanly possible, because I think she deserves to be treated as an autonomous person. So it's not hard to know who she is and to have some idea about Willow's educational journey. But let's go deeper. So Willow and her brother traveled with their parents who worked in the entertainment industry. This is definitely what led to homeschooling. When the children were approximately 9 and 11, Willow would have been 9, the Smiths started a school or a homeschool program. And the school seems to have been built on the tenets of Scientology. So Jada Pinkett Smith has defended using Scientology methods to homeschool her children. Claims that the study tech helps students achieve 100% proficiency within a subject, gaining a sense of self-determination, and creating habits that make them lifelong learners. I'm going to be adding my script and citations because citations were required in this. There are 3 principles of this tech study and this groundbreaking educational system. Study tech was built on 3 ideas. 1, use pictures and diagrams to help students understand what they're learning. Sounds good, right? 2, break down difficult ideas into manageable chunks. Also, sounds good. 3, always look at the meanings of words you don't know. When written in simple English, these rules make sense and aren't dangerous. So does that mean I use Scientology study tech? Because I've always followed these rules and I'd never looked into what Scientology does or doesn't do. But even in my homeschool classes where I teach my students, at the beginning of every lesson is vocabulary words. After the lesson is written, I look through it one more time for words that the students may not be familiar with, and I put them at the top so we can discuss them before we go through the lesson, especially in history. Like, you hit certain ages or areas and there's this vocabulary that seems foreign, and so it just makes sense to examine that vocabulary before jumping into the text. So anyway, the study tech books explains them differently. These 3 ideas are known in Scientology as mass, gradients, and misunderstoods. They are all very important words in that religion. Also, these ideas are explained in a very strict way, which is typical of Scientology teachings. So, L. Ron Hubbard's educational methods, known as study technology, provide a comprehensive understanding of barriers to effective learning. These methods address the 3 main barriers to learning. The first barrier is the absence of mass, which can cause adverse reactions when studying without a physical object. The second barrier is too steep a gradient, which can lead to difficulties in mastering a particular skill without grasping the necessary previous step. And the third barrier is the misunderstood word, which can lead to adverse mental effects. I mean, maybe confusion, but okay. And they believe it can significantly impact education and the human learning process. Herbert developed word cleaning, a technology for addressing misunderstood words and removing ignorance, misunderstandings, and false definitions of words. Still sounds good. Study technology offers a comprehensive approach to teaching students how to learn and apply any body of knowledge, ensuring uniformly consistent results across all age groups. Tony Ortega, a leading Scientology reporter and publisher of The Underground Bunker, has accused Pinkett Smith of being misleading about her past involvement in the controversial religion. This influence was evident at the New Village Leadership Academy, a private school in Calabasas, California, which opened its doors in 2008 before quietly closing its doors in 2013. And this is the place that Willow spent her elementary years. 4 former teachers and administrators at the school insist that Scientology was deeply ingrained in every aspect of the school, with mostly Scientologist teachers teaching students Scientology methods of learning. The New Village Leadership Academy began as a homeschool in one of the Smiths' unused residences in Indian Hills, California. Leah Remini and Mike Rinder, 2 former high-ranking Scientologists who have rededicated themselves to exposing the Church of Scientology's alleged abuses, say that study technology is a backdoor way of getting people into Scientology. Hubbard's policies on allying organizations and groups to legitimize Scientology and introduce his study tech into society are covered extensively in his public relations policies, especially the one entitled Public Image. So, this school that was started by the Smiths, that Willow attended, New Village Leadership Academy, ended up closing its doors in 2013. And all teachers and administrators expressed disappointment that the school didn't succeed, given its stated goal of providing a creative educational environment for disadvantaged children of color. Part of that reason was that it wasn't financially sustainable. Tax filings revealed that Foster was making, and I believe Foster is the administrator, $225,872 a year, and other salaries at the 16 teacher school came in at $1,276,181. Wow. Moreover, New Village Leadership Academy received only $740,000 in tuition payments that year, which put the school in the red. A lecturer at the school known as Jawa, the lecturer's name was Jawa, and I believe that's a shortened version of his Indian name, has admitted that NVLA was more of an elaborate babysitting exercise in a school, with privileged children refusing to attend certain classes and a lack of structured curricula. Jawa received positive feedback about his robotics class, where Will and Jada's children, ages 7 and 9, so Willow was 7, were among his students. However, things quickly went from bad to worse when the program opened its official school, so when they moved from the Smiths' extra home into the school building. Olivier, the director, started pushing back against this study tech, and the only Scientology principles allegedly seeping into the school's curriculum. As someone who runs a homeschool program, this is terrifying. It was also around that time that Willow's first foray into a music career occurred. An article from Essence magazine said that Willow Smith, who at the time was 10, was at the start of a great career. However, as she became famous, she admitted that she fell behind in school at age 10. Should her job or school be more important at the age of 10, the article asked. Willow is quoted saying, "I never really get to go to school because I'm always on tour with my dad." And she told this to the British Telegraph. Most of the time, there was a teacher on set with them, but because she worked most of the time, she never got to do the lessons. She hated math because all other kids are better at it than me because they go to school. And this was from BET Studios, Diara, from Detroit panel Essence. the Scientology leaning school Willow attended closed in 2013. The Smith students were listed as homeschoolers. Willow did attend regular school for 1 year. She said, I went to school for 1 year. It was the best experience, but the worst experience. The best experience because I was like, oh, now I know why kids are so depressed. But it was the worst experience because I was depressed. Age 14, Willow and her brother were apparently unschooling, learning based on their own whims. Willow has had time to mature since then, and as an avid book lover, the homeschooled Willow Smith has made a name for herself. Enter Red Table Talks. When it began, Jada Pinkett Smith and her mom, Adrienne Banfield Norris, didn't expect big names to talk about sensitive topics in front of millions of fans. Their only goal was to give Willow a place to learn more about how her mom and Grammy are connected. Willow had been asking questions, Adrienne told the March New York Times, and it dawned on Jada that there's a lot of things that Willow just doesn't know about us. And so they sat down at their red kitchen table, hit record, and let the 12-year-old kid just shoot away. When that first movie was put on YouTube in June 2013, and I distinctly remember it, it got over 31,000 views and gave them an idea. The official Red Table Talk would run from 2018 until 2023 and make Willow and her mom and grandma household names. So it took 5 years to bring the series to light, and by that time Willow was pretty much a young adult. So the Smiths' parenting style had a lot to do with their homeschooling. Will Smith was quoted saying, "We don't do punishment. The way that we deal with our kids is they are responsible for their lives. Our concept is, as young as possible, to give them as much control over their lives as possible. And the concept of punishment, our experience has been, it has a little too much of a negative quality. So when they do things, and he said Jaden had done things, you can do anything you want as long as you can explain to me why that was the right thing to do with your life." In 2015, September, Willow, then at age 14, signed to the modeling agency called The Society. She modeled for brands like Chanel and Marc Jacobs and posed for publications like Harper's Bazaar. Willow reported that modeling made her physically sick and may have worsened her anxiety. She did speak fondly of the Fenty X show she did at age 21, where she was able to get past her reservations and model lingerie. According to The Root, kids whose parents are famous are forced into the public eye, which isn't always a good thing. People who try to use their family name to get famous are called Nepo babies and are often judged for it. However, they're stuck if they don't and will be criticized for trying to hide who they are if they do. However, Willow seems to be able to handle everything with ease these days thanks to her music, which hit 1 billion plays, and her style. She's making herself a force to be reckoned with, and Willow has been dubbed by The Root as the new it girl that black girls need. This was in 2024. However she got to this point in her life, it is clear that she is a wise and balanced woman with a heart for others. She alludes to her homeschooling journey in a Glamour magazine interview, saying she had too much time on her hands to explore traumas against her will. Just sitting at home and things come up and your mind just starts going. In the end, Willow believed that the only thing you can do is try to do something good with what you've been given. If not, what is the purpose of you even being here? So that's the research I did on Willow Smith. I actually admire her greatly. I remember her being little and doing that album, and I love that little Whip Your Hair song, even though she apparently hated that entire journey. And I'm so glad her parents pulled back and let her walk away from music and come back, because her current album, not the one she's putting out right now because I haven't heard it yet, but her last album can't think of the name of the song, and y'all want me to sing, is just amazing. And she seems to have evened out. Yeah, as a teenager, she and her brother were tweeting some crazy stuff. There's an article of her talking about being able to move time in her mind, and they were talking about books that were a bit above their mental and emotional ability to understand. And now I can see why they were reading books on that level, because they had done this Scientology tech thing, which was supposed to give you, as I can tell it, like much better reading comprehension, because you're looking at images and you're deciphering every word you come across. And so that just makes reading more natural. But I just remember I remember it being like 2012, 2013 and thinking, these kids are reading stuff that even I don't understand, and they're making sense of it in a way that a kid does, and they're being quoted and being called idiots across the internet when they're just being kids reading incredibly mature and philosophical books. But I feel like in the last 5 years or 6, we've watched Willow grow up in front of our eyes on Red Table Talk, and she's just a sensitive child. She's a whole woman. Sensitive, intelligent, and while her education could have been way more hands-on, with her mom being more hands-on, I still think that some of that Scientology lesson stuff was helpful to help her become a self-paced learner or autodidact. So, till next time.